In this video, we're going to look at how alliteration can be used in creative writing and in business writing. Now, in creative writing, it is generally used to make your writing more rhythmic or to set the mood. And in business writing, it is used to make your writing more memorable or impactful. Okay, let's start with the definition of alliteration and look at some easy examples. So here is the definition. Alliteration is a literary technique in which nearby words repeat the same initial consonant sound. So let's look at a classic example. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Here's another classic. She sells seashells by the seashore. Now look at this one. My mum makes the most mouth-watering minty muffins. Timmy the Tattletail told tall tales to the teacher. Veni, vidi, vici, a famous quotation by Roman Emperor Julius Caesar. Now, if you look at these examples, look up to the first one, you can see that the letter P, which is a consonant, is repeated at the start of the word. And here we have the letter S, here we have the letter M, here we have the letter T, and here we have the V. Now, what I want you to concentrate on is the word initial. But now look at these ones here. Go down to the fourth example. Timmy the Tattletail. Here the T is not one of the initial letters, but it still sounds like it's part of the alliteration. And look up at the top one. Peppers. The P's in the middle of peppers sound like they're part of the alliteration. And it's the same for the S in seashells and seashore. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Before we do though, I just want to highlight the bottom example, Veni, vidi, vici. This is quite a serious example, whereas the others seem like they might have been written for fun or just to practice alliteration. In fact, the bottom one is so serious that I'm not going to use a cartoon. I think I'm going to put a serious picture of Julius Caesar in there. So we're going to talk about the serious side of alliteration in a minute. Let's get rid of that. Look at this example. Fred found a friendly furry amphibian from Africa. Like before, some of the sounds in the alliteration are in the middle of the word. But yet that's not the definition of alliteration. So here we have the F sound repeated at the start of the words. But look, here we have an F sound, not always the letter F, but an F sound in the middle of words. And this sounds like it's part of the alliterative string. And it is, and I'm going to tell you why. Just before we do that though, remember it's the sound that makes the alliteration. It doesn't have to be the same letter. So if you look at Keep It Clean, they are different letters, but it's the same sound. Okay, let's clear those. The point here is that alliteration is a type of consonance. And consonance is the deliberate repetition of a consonant sound, and there you have the consonants in the alphabet, for literary effect. So look at this. To crack a lock. Here we have the K sound 3 times, but only once at the start of a word. This is an example of consonance. And look at this. A bond that transcends the beyond. Here we have the ND sound repeated 3 times. This is an example of consonance. So, alliteration is a type of consonance. Only with alliteration, it's the initial consonant sound. At this point, it's worth talking about assonance. Assonance is similar to consonance, apart from it's the repetition of vowel sounds. So, look at this famous proverb. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Here we have the E sound repeated. Or another proverb. The early bird catches the worm. Here we have the sound repeated. These are examples of assonance. So, if we go back to our original easy examples, we can see in yellow the examples of alliteration and in blue what we might call consonants. But actually, it's all consonants. But in this video, we've put the consonants caused by letters at the start of a word in yellow because we're talking about alliteration. Okay, remember this example, the serious example. That's what we're going to talk about next. In creative writing, storytelling, or verse like songs and poetry, alliteration creates mood or rhythm. So do you remember this guy from Harry Potter? It's no coincidence that Professor Severus Snape was head of Slytherin, because that creates the mood. Alliteration with S's creates snake-like stealth and secrecy. And look at this one. Belt out the blocks on the B of the bang. Alliteration with the letter B creates a sense of explosion or power. Now, in business writing, that's things like reports or dissertations, alliteration can be used for emphasis. It can make your writing more memorable, it can be impactful, and it can make you look confident. Here is an example of how alliteration might look in a business document. Your proposal was commercially astute, cost-effective, and convincing. Here you can see the letter C creating the alliteration. Notice that not all the words start with the letter C. If you overuse alliteration, it can look childish. But used in moderation, it can bring all of those benefits listed. So, have the confidence to use alliteration, but also remember not to make it sound childish. If you look at this example, the words your, proposal, was, astute, effective, and do not start with the letter C. But yet, it is a good example of alliteration. Let's get rid of that. So I want to leave you with this final slide. Alliteration is a form of consonance. And even though the consonants might be alliteration, in other words, the repeated letter might be at the start of a word, it might also be mid-word. It still creates the effect of consonants. Remember also that in creative writing, alliteration can be used to set the mood or the rhythm. Remember, it is no coincidence that J.K. Rowling decided to call one of her darkest characters Professor Severus Snape, the headmaster of Slytherin. And remember, in business writing, alliteration can be memorable and impactful. Also remember to keep your alliteration natural sounding. Don't overdo it, otherwise it could look contrived. That's all. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out some of our other videos on grammarmonster.com.